Welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. I'm Kevin.
I'm Nick, and we're Catholics who like to drink old fashions mostly.
If this is your first time joining us, we are two Catholic dads, husbands. We like getting together and talking about topics that are interesting to us in our lives. If you find them interesting, you're welcome to join along and listen in. You can comment and like if you so choose, but most importantly, we like to drink together and have conversation. If you want to grab a drink and join along with us, you can. Oh, my drink is disappearing because of my cool background. It can be alcoholic or non, doesn't matter to us. We're going to put what we're having up on the screen right now so you can pause it if you want a copy. This is very much not an old fashioned. This is a, what do they call it? A project IPA from Castle Danger Brewing. Castle Danger Brewing is one of my favorite breweries, and they brew with Lake Superior delicious cold water, and they make a lot of good beers, some of them great. This is a Project IPA or Project India Pale Ale. I've never had it. I don't think, maybe I've had it. But it's good. I don't know what it means when they say a project. I don't know what they did different. It's called White Pine, so maybe they put pine needles in it. Who knows?
That's a cool idea. I hate IPAs so much. I remember the first time I tasted one, I just thought, how is this? This will never catch on. Like those are horrible. They give me an instant headache, but apparently people love them a lot.
There's something to be said. I've thought this through many times. Is something worth liking if you have to force and train yourself to like it over time? Because I too, Nick, hated IPAs.
Really?
And everybody just told me, just keep drinking them. You'll eventually like them. If that's what you have to do to like something, is it worth it?
Is it worth it? Well, now that you like them, is it worth it?
I like them so much.
Really? Okay. Well, when I used to
But I still can't answer that question.
First time I drank vodka, I felt so sad for some reason. It made me feel sad. And I tried it like one other time. And it made me feel sad. And so I remember telling Jacelyn, that's when I lived in Duluth, like every time I drink vodka, I feel sad the next day. She's like, why do you drink it? I'm like, I won't. So I stopped. But for some reason, I did later, and I love it very, very, very much. I love the fresh taste of it. It's so clear, and it's So I don't know. There was maybe it's same with coffee. You know, coffee's disgusting when you first taste it.
That is interesting. I had to get myself to like coffee too. Is it objectively good? Is it a good product if in order to like it, you have to force yourself? I'm still wondering.
Well, there's that whole like everything of value takes effort and sacrifice. Maybe that fits in there if you're pulling it, stretching it thin. I've been tired tired today, last few days, really tired. Two of my kids are sick, fevers, and my in-laws are in town and we're busy. We're having a lot of fun. And I didn't make an old fashioned tonight. I didn't even do it right. I didn't make myself a proper martini. I just shoved the stick into 3 olives and I poured vodka into a glass with ice and some. But let me just say this. This here, you can get this at Sam's Club at their liquor store, or not in Sam's Club, but at the Sam's Club liquor store. This massive thing is $13. And I will tell you, this is just as good, if not better than any vodka that I've ever had. And you bought me Grey Goose for my birthday one year. I loved it. This stuff is insane. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's 6 times distilled, whatever that means, but it's good. I just wanted to recommend it.
This episode of Old Fashioned Catholics brought to you in part by Members Mark Vodka. Drink responsibly. No paid promotions in this channel, as you can tell by our number of views, but we just like to talk about the things we like.
Yeah.
I like Castle Danger Root, and you are really into Sam's Club Members Mark label vodka. Yeah, 6 times distilled.
So give it a shot, everybody.
They basically, what they're saying is the more times you distill it, the better. So why didn't they do 7 or 8?
Well, you also have a timeline. You're working on a time frame, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's Members Mark.
It's so many times. Didn't I say Members Mark?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's Members Mark. They're on a time frame. They can't just wait for the good stuff.
All right. So they have to distill it 6 times, but not 7. 7 is right out. You shall not distill 5 times unless thou proceedest to 6. All right.
So few people know that reference. Wait,
So you have two kids that are sick, but
yeah,
how was your day? We haven't asked each other the standard question in a long
we
time.
haven't. We haven't. It was a day that is good. It was just long and tiring. I woke up feeling nasty the last couple of days. I can't seem to get rested, and we're just going a lot, but really good things. So I've mentioned her once before. From one of our videos, a friend, Casey, in the West Coast, got in touch with me via email saying, hey, I have a bunch of questions about Catholicism and why you would do that. And so we emailed, and then Marco Poloed, and we've just been back and forth for a couple months now. And then the other night, it popped up, and it was her on her screen. She, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. And she moved the camera over, and it was somebody from Cambodia, a friend of hers who is Cambodian. And she's like, yeah, I heard about what you guys want to do. I have a friend who's high up in the government and one who's high up in the medical community in Cambodia. Let's get on the phone. And so we're talking tomorrow at 1:30, which is just insane. That's so exciting. So it was a good day, exhausting, but good.
Double whammy. Double whammy. Double whammy. Double
What?
whammy.
What's that double whammy?
Well, just two people. You got government
Gotcha.
official and I just made it up.
Double threat. I thought I was missing something, but
Double
I wasn't.
whammy, the phrase that the kids are using these days. It's
Oh
really
man,
hip.
it's probably on Snapchat.
Yeah, it's double whammies all over the place.
Did you see that double whammy?
Double
Yes.
whammy all the way across the sky.
Yeah. So
It's
intense.
so intense.
So anyway, yeah, that was a good day. It's just tiring, very tiring, but worth it. Good. How about you? How was your day, actually?
It was fantastic. Woke up,
Why?
packed the car, drove home from 5.5 hours away, and it was raining all through the morning. But we had an amazing 4th of July. This was the tail end of our 4th of July trip. My oldest, who is 7, is really good with outdoor stuff. He's really good with fire and really good with knots. And he's obsessed with fishing. He caught so many fish. I don't know how many fish he caught. He's caught so many fish this week.
What kind of fish?
A lot of panfish, catfish, some bass, different stuff.
What's he
Different
using?
days, different
Davey's
stuff.
obsessed with fishing, but he never even gets a bite.
Yeah, so we're not good at it. I'm learning a little bit at a time, and he's better than I am. And so basically he needs me to buy him the stuff and, find him the lakes with
Supplier.
fish. Yeah, I'm his supplier.
But what does he have on the end of does he have just a hook and a worm, or what's he
Well,
doing?
we caught a really nice northern on a Texas rig the other day, which is basically a big long leech on a big hook with a weight that you're bouncing off the bottom.
Okay.
And then he caught tons of panfish with a jig head and worms, just jig heading.
Man.
Okay.
Okay.
Jig heads, you can find them in any size.
Yeah.
And we had live crawlers, so we were just getting, ripping the crawlers up to the right size for the hook, and he was just jigging them close to shore and just smacking fish all morning long.
All right.
Yeah, it can't go wrong with live bait, man.
Were you in?
Yeah.
Or you can bleep that out. Sorry, you weren't. You were somewhere.
We never do though. See, we say we bleed it out, but we never actually go back and watch our footage to bleed it out.
Jesse, we'll make a note.
Not gonna watch this far into the episode.
He does. He does. He watches the whole thing. Well, we'll
right.
see if he does, don't we? Won't we?
So, anyways, it was a great day. Just been unpacking and taking care of the bunny and the chickens and the cats when we got home and all that stuff.
You still have your chickens inside city limits?
Yeah, we got our chickens.
Good.
Inspiration from one of our previous guests, Chris Paget, as well as, just a lot of people are getting them, Yeah. People got the chickens. So I did it. And you know what, folks, if you're thinking about getting chickens, take it, temper your enthusiasm because they smell real bad.
They do. They're horrible.
They smell unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you can walk by and get one whiff and go, I'm going to wring the necks of every one of those chickens. I had that. Are
you going to eventually? Are they just eggs?
No, well they're layers.
Ah.
I'm next year, forget it, man. I'm getting meat birds because
my friend has, one of the people in town here has meat birds. They're like from this big to fat in like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that. And if you don't kill them around then, their legs start breaking and they start just falling apart. It's crazy. So yeah. We're
Genetic
getting sheep.
modification, man. It's a problem. You're getting sheep.
Yeah. In the middle of August, we're getting a couple of sheep.
What are you gonna do when you have to leave them for Cambodia in 6 months?
Yeah. Oh, it'd be such a great problem to have, wouldn't it? We'll
Yes,
probably
it would.
we'll give them back to the people we just purchased them from.
How many
And
sheep are you getting, and why? What are you going to use them for?
Jason wants sheep. It's the only reason.
Say no more.
Yep. She was like, I want sheep. I want 2 sheep, and I'd like to get a small donkey. And I'm like, we'll start with the sheep. So we're getting a couple sheep. Well, because the people you can't see it, but right out this window, the people who built this house, they live right there. I mean, across the way, and they have they're either Jerusalem donkeys or Bethlehem donkeys. I don't know which one it is, but they have a dark cross on their back, and this it's descended from the donkey that Jesus rode, and so a cross was on its back, that sort of thing. But they're like knee height, these donkeys, and they're awesome. They're so fun. So we could have the pygmy goats, the sheep, and the knee high donkey just all in a room, a pen together. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty of space for them.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing. The total side note, and this could probably be deleted out, but I wanted to say it, and it's not entertaining for people. But we're supposed to go on our 20-year anniversary trip in 3 weeks, leaving on the 30th. And 2 days ago, I realized Jacelyn's passport is expired July 1st, and expedited turnaround right now is 12 weeks. So 3 months. And so I cried a lot on Monday morning. I just cried because I'm like, I got every detail right, but the one, and that one was you can't leave the country. So this travel agent I know said, you should call your Secretary of State. And actually it was Representative Nolan who helped us with our adoption when we were in the Caribbean and it had stalled with Esther. We were stuck. She was ours, Dominica wise. She had our name, but we couldn't bring her to the States. We were stuck there, and called Nolan's office in Duluth. And within a day, they sent like an embossed letter, like get your button gear. So I called this Klobuchar's office and was like, listen, money's down. It's non-refundable. It's our 20-year anniversary. We've never done this before. We really need to go. And I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to expedite it. It's a normal process. They're not like doing anything obviously illegal, but like, they're like, yep, if you're traveling within the next few weeks and, so we'll see. Otherwise,
Dude. Otherwise, yeah.
We're going to we can reschedule.
21st anniversary.
Everything is reschedulable 4 months down the road. So it's okay. Stupidity, like pit in my stomach, horrible.
That feeling of fail, feeling of
a real big fan. Like this is real. We've never done. I mean, we've been in parts of the world, but it's always because of missionary stuff. Usually, we've never just done her and I going. We're going to trace the steps of Paul type stuff, and set money aside for it. And now it's like in the crapper. But it might not be. So anyway, that we'll probably cut that out.
That pit of your stomach feeling. Yeah. There's few things in life that will get me that. One was when I think back on the time I had to be a baseball umpire for this big time high stakes state championship traveling baseball game.
For real?
Yeah, by myself.
How did they ask you to do that?
They were not smart. It was the umpire business is not run well. So for those of you who are looking for a business venture that's lucrative, and if you know what you're doing, you should start kids little league umpiring business and just crush it. So that was one. But the other one, which is way more serious, to take it to the next level, is actually death, which we've talked about before. Yeah. But I don't know if you ever had this thought. The idea of heaven being forever messes with my brain. Like really? Just thinking about the fact that it's eternal and keeps going and going and going, like it wigs me out and I have to stop thinking about it.
Even heaven, like
yes,
beatitude. Like,
oh. Yep.
That's interesting. Why?
Because how can it not end? How can it just go and a trillion years later, it's still just going?
That's interesting. Isn't there anything? Well, there's got to be.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's that, and I should be scared of judgment, as we all should. You know, the four last things: death,
Yeah, right.
judgment, heaven, or hell.
Yeah.
And I should be scared of judgment, but it's death that wigs my brain out. The actual process of having to go through dying, because I feel like, I don't know if you feel this way. Do you feel this way, that you're just going to live forever? I just kind of feel like
Right.
invincible. I'm
Yeah.
going to live forever. I'm never going to die.
Yeah.
And I keep hearing about people dying around me, and I'm like, ah, man, but it still just isn't.
But it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. I didn't die.
Yeah, right. That's what it feels like.
And judgment is the one I kind of skip over, but then it's like heaven. If that, like, even is forever, it's weird.
No,
It's because I'm not a saint.
no, I just think, well, okay, like I always think of like if they're like whenever you're experiencing something good, like truly good, like a good moment or a good weekend, or it's like, imagine from Anchorman when they're having a really good moment and they're like, we're having a moment, and they're like, yeah, don't talk about it, and he keeps going on about it, like this great moment. Whenever you're having a really good moment, you don't want that to end. And if beatitude is what, we believe it is, like heaven is what, then it would be the moment that you wouldn't want to end anyway. Like it wouldn't lack anything. It would only be fulfillment.
But those great moments, those really, really great moments, you do kind of want them to end. Even when we say we don't, all the greatest moments, you eventually get tired enough and you want to sleep.
Yeah, but what if that thing didn't happen, that phenomenon? What if it just was enjoyment? I don't know. This is funny. I have trouble grasping this one. Well, okay, it comes down to this. The other day I was telling Jason, so I like the life that I have, like like you and I, we've been put on this path, and it's a good life that we have. And even if it has tragedy and moments or whatever, it's a good life. Life is good, it's gift and everything. And that's great. But I would also like the time to be really, like, to run for president. Like I would like the time to be really good at the guitar and try to become a famous singer. I would like to devote my life to the poor in a given nation, and then have time to give yourself in a different place. And I would like to embetter this area. And so, I guess that's what comes to. You have that. I think we all have it in us. Like, I'd like to do everything if possible. Like I'd like to do it all. And I was talking to Jason, we were on a walk the other day. I'm like, I think when you think about heaven, like we get, at the eschaton, you get your body back. Like you get like at the resurrection, everything is made new and it's eternal. So you do get to do everything, like everything you've ever wanted. But this time you're doing it with like him present, like it's with him and in him and through him. So I don't know. There's something lately that's been really sparked into me to be like, oh, wow, I can just live this one that I have, this life now. I can live it as best I can. And then sooner or later, when it's all tied up with the bow, I get to live all of it and try all of it and be fully human in every respect. I get to every aspect of your personality. Like you do get to be an opera singer. Like you get to do it. You get to fully perfect your vocals, and you get to fully perfect husbandry or fatherhood or the other job you do, things like that. You get to be perfect at all of it. Like eventually, I don't know, there's something encouraging about that. So that ends up being heaven in a certain sense.
Well, and I have thought about that and the new heaven and the new earth and getting our bodies back. So newsflash, if you're Christian, you believe you're getting your body back at the end of the world.
It's fundamental.
And you will live in your body forever. Resurrection. So we will be doing stuff.
Yep.
And based on what Jesus did after his resurrection, we probably will eat.
Yeah.
Like we'll probably eat, but just for the pleasure.
Yeah.
And it'll be just for the pleasure of this. I mean, some theologians can be like, you're heretical, but just for the pleasure of eating in Christ's presence,
right,
and being at the wedding feast. Some of the funnest times you ever have are at an awesome wedding party, and you're feasting. And so we're just going to be feasting. But I have thought about getting to do all these things that you want to do. And when you experience something amazing in this world, if it's just a taste of what we get to experience with our bodies in the new heaven and new earth, then it's just going to be that times 1,000, whatever that is.
Yeah.
You know, a beautiful hike in the mountains in Colorado, times that by 1,000. You can't, your brain can't even compute that.
Yeah.
But that's the kinds of things that we'll be doing. So
So
it is
so
really
the
but
part
anyways,
that scares you then.
but the fact that it is forever and ever and ever,
Okay.
My finite brain starts to tweak out. So I have to stop thinking about it.
I'm trying to think of the last four. So the final four things, the last four things: death, judgment, heaven, and hell. Those are like pivotal. Look it up in your catechism. It's great. But like, I'm trying to think of which one I'd be scared of. I think everybody's a little scared of death, a little bit, because there's
Some
the
people
old.
a lot. Some people a lot of it.
Well,
Yeah.
COVID showed that. We've talked about that. COVID showed. Well, that we do death wrong. We've covered that, I guess, in prior episodes. Seinfeld have talked about like the second most thing people are scared of is public speaking, but the number one thing is death. So if you're at a funeral, you'd rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy, that sort of thing. Like, I think there is it's something wrong about death, definitely, because death was never supposed to happen. So that one, it makes sense. We shouldn't be just cool with it in the sense of it, the wages of sin is death. So death results because of sin. And so, yeah, you shouldn't be like fine with the concept of it existing because it shouldn't have existed. But at the same time, as Christians, we don't have to be afraid of death. It's like John Donne.
But Nick, there's an entire slew of people in our midst, in our country, that think the opposite of that. I heard someone famous say not too long ago, he basically said, I can't understand how people could spend their whole life living for an eternity. I think it makes much more sense to live just for today. And so there's an entire set of people who think that we should be completely ignoring the fact that it could just all end any moment and what we've done doesn't matter, and just live for what I want to do right now, what fulfills me right now. And that's not a small number of people.
No, right. Probably within the Christian world as well. I mean, probably. There's probably a large
but
number.
His whole logic was anti-logic. It was incredible to hear somebody say that.
Yeah, I know. When it's funny because
like you're gonna live your whole life just for today, right now, because you think living for an eternity is stupid, when you could die in the next minute,
right?
And everything you were living for is just poof, gone. Doesn't matter. You don't matter anymore.
So it's interesting. What starts to, so that brings up in me, and I guess this isn't about the four final things or whatever, but like one of the things that sparks in me is when I get into that whole like, okay, morality for eternity versus now. Why do you do things like this? This is off the cuff, so I have no clue. But like, so you would say, well, okay, you say you're living for now. What's the point? But like, what's the point as a Christian and as a Catholic? Then why do we do things? Like, something springs to mind in my head, but like, so then how is it different than the mindset of somebody who only lives for now? How does it play out differently in your daily life, do you think?
I think the way that it plays out differently is that in the first scenario, you have someone who's making decisions based on their understanding of what will make them eternally happy. So based on a moral code. And the second person is making their decisions based on a subset of principles that will bring them happiness right now. So it's because we're all of us are striving to be happy.
Right. Yeah.
What will make me happy is what everyone is answering all the time. What will make me happy? But some people are saying, what will make me happy right now? And we, in our insane privilege, can afford to find things to make us happy right now all the time.
Right.
And if I'm not doing that, then I'm trying to figure out what is going to bring eternal happiness. And therefore, that exists outside of myself.
Well, yeah, Mother Teresa had said, oh, I lost you. You're back.
Sorry.
Mother Teresa had said that in India, if she gives somebody a bowl of rice, that they're satisfied. But in America, that the problems go to the depths of our souls. That like we have our bowl of rice, So then we create these other problems basically of like temporal, like the now, like I need this now, I need this now, I need, oh, my tech, my Wi-Fi, what in the world? Like that all plagues you in the now, and you kind of stay away from what really matters. Whereas I think people who are facing um, poverty on a daily basis, they kind of have to face it in a different way. I don't know that we're not really on that train of thought for the episode, but I don't know where I was going with that. It sparked a memory. Oh well.
Huh.
4 things.
Death, judgment, heaven, hell. Which of the 4 do you find yourself pondering the most? Because for me, the one I ponder the most is death.
I think I didn't much until COVID. I think, but oh no, I would say that if we had encountered COVID before I had kids, it was just Jason and I probably wouldn't. I didn't care much about death before that, even in our marriage. COVID with kids made me just think again. I wasn't worried about my kids getting COVID. I was just worried, like, suddenly, what if some stupidity of mine, and again, it was always in that framework. It was like, what if I'm stupid and I die for a dumb reason? It was never COVID even. Like, what if like I'm being stupid and I trip and fall on a pencil, and like, or if I get stung on the uvula and I swell up and I die, like,
And
my
crazy
kid
stuff like that is happening to people. And it's
happens
like,
every
here we
single
are
day.
right now.
Yep. And so death is every day, and it seems pointless, and it's massive in amount. So many people died while we've been filming. So like, if that were to happen, like, I think I've worried about death more because of the kids. Just because we started our first episode was about dads. So you're like, man, death is scary. I'm not scared of death. I just don't care. Like I don't, but I worry about what it does to just the kids, basically. Even Jason would be fine. Like you worry about like its secondary effect on people.
That's
But
really interesting that you're not afraid of death, because I am. And, it's just like to have that mentality. I just don't care. I don't know what that's like, because I just don't want it to happen. I don't want to go through it. I don't want to experience it. I don't want to be done with my family. It's just
yeah,
like I just want to be with them. I don't
yeah.
know. It's
Well, when you have a good family, though, that makes sense. When you're like, I don't want it to end. I think one of the things that finding the church has tempered so many things for me, because realizing not just that we're a vapor, and Paul says that we're just a vapor, but the fact that I told Jason this during COVID. I think if I were to die, and I told the kids this, listen, if something weird happened, it would be good for you to know that if I were to pass away, then apart from purgatory, the second I pass away, well, even with purgatory, and we'll get to that, but the second I'm out of this physical world, I'm more there for you than I ever could have been here. Like we have a friend who lost her husband quite suddenly last year, and we had a conversation after that about like, did I lose him? Is he gone? And if we believe what we believe, you can't be gone, because you only become more in the body of Christ from here on out. Like if you die in friendship with Jesus, it's just a process of becoming more and more in Christ. And so I'm as much as in Christ as I can be right now, but I'm a moron and I'm sinful and broken. But the second I pass away and I begin that process, and I'm just like running towards him, then I'm more there for my kids in a spiritual and factual sense than I ever was down here, because I would be uninhibited by selfishness and exhaustion, and I can intercede for them and cheer them on with the great cloud of witnesses. All of that becomes more real in the moment. So there's a certain sense. You hear Paul, he says, like, I don't know, I'm torn, because I kind of would like to die. I'd like to be done with this and be closer to Jesus, but I know that I have to stay here for those around me. Like, so there's a bit of that I think I found in the church, of just being like, no, I think the church triumphant would be a really cool place to be, even for my wife and kids. I think they'd be better off in so many ways if I was doing up there than the stupidity that I kind of bring down upon them down here. I don't know if that makes sense, if that's coming out right, but
no, it is. It is. I just wonder how we would handle it being flipped and them being called before us. Now, like if one of my kids dies suddenly, that parents go through that.
yeah,
I've thought about, that's what COVID did for me, is it made me think over the last year and a half. I just imagine all these random scenarios of my kids dying, having nothing to do with COVID. Just we fall, like our car goes off a bridge into the water, and I'm the only one that makes it out. It was just
Yep.
random stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I thought of that today, and because we were going over a bridge, I'm just like, oh my gosh, life would be over.
Well, again, it's so weird. You and I are so similar, but kind of different. Because like I've told Jason over the years, if I could handle it my way, they would die first. They could get it over with. Like no more depression. The kids wouldn't have to grow up in this world, even though God is here. It's still a tough world. Like the thought of any one of them just being up with him, like that would kind of put it at ease. To be like, all right, well, okay, they're out of the running. They're safe. Like that idea of like they're nothing can mess with them now. My weaknesses and none of the world can screw with them now.
The world can't pull them down to hell.
Yeah. Which again, I think if anything, when it comes to being afraid of something, I'm not afraid of the old school concept of hell, but so the idea that there's any place that God isn't, that doesn't kind of make sense. I think even in Catholic theology, like there's nowhere that he isn't. It's more like C.S. Lewis had said, like, imagine hating God and you pass into eternity and you realize you can't get away from him because he's everywhere. That would be hell. I mean, that's the way he kind of explains hell, is that because he's everywhere, then the fire of his love just tortures. And not because he's trying to be mean, but he's always loving and you hate him. And so that idea that my free will could get me somewhere where I didn't want to be with him, that would end up being hell. That scares me, because your free will can do that. Like you can, C.S. Lewis again says that in the end, there's only two kinds of people: those who say to God, thy will be done, or those to whom God says, thy will be done. So in the end, you always get what you want. And so we all have the capability of deciding, I don't want you. I don't, and I won't. And then he talks about every decision like twisting you more crumpled and more broken. And so to the point where you pass on and you're with them and you just hate it. Like that does scare me that I could choose that. Yeah. That scares me.
Oh man.
Yeah. But you go ahead first.
I don't have anything. You just gave me a stumper.
Well, Paul says at one point, even I'm not aware of anything in me, basically, that would keep me from the Lord. I'm not aware of anything in my spirit. But me being aware of it or not, that's not what actually makes me like worthy to be with him. It's just him. So basically Paul's basically saying, I'm just entrusting myself to him. I don't know. I'm not aware of anything on my conscience, but there could be something there because I'm an idiot, and I'm just going to trust it to him. And I used to say to people, like, if I die and God sends me to hell, like, then it would be right, because he can't do anything wrong. Like in that sense, like it would only be good. Whatever he decides to do with me, it's only going to be good. And so it's good. But I think in that's probably the Christian viewpoint, is like, I'm not worried about it. I know in whom I have believed. And if there's something, I'm sure he'll burn it out of me in purgatory. Even that, I remember there used to be this restaurant in Duluth called Hell's Kitchen. And this is way before we were in Catholic, but we were hanging out with a lot of you guys. And were you there? Did you ever go there? Okay. Anyway, we were sitting there and we're around a table of people, and they were just like riffing, just talking theology. And it hit me for the first time, like the concept of purgatory. And I was like overwhelmed with gratitude, because you have death, judgment, heaven, and hell. But that idea of, okay, I believe in Jesus, and Jesus is my friend. Like I am with Jesus, but I'm just still so dumb at all of this. And somewhere between me, I fully believe in him. I believe all of it, and I'm his. And somewhere between that and being one with him in beatitude, something has to happen to get rid of all this junk. And if I die today for something, like if I choke on an olive tonight, which is a really good possibility, then what happens in between there? And we were at dinner, and I remember like this wave came over me of just gratitude, like, holy cow, this is utter hope. Like the idea
Was
of
that the first time you had heard about purgatory and you thought, man, this is amazing? Or had
well,
you
those
heard
are
about?
two things. I had heard about it, but I had never thought it was amazing until that moment. But it kind of hit me like because because I had heard the idea and I didn't have a problem. Actually, I didn't have much of the problem with the idea when we were becoming Catholic because there's like it takes like 3 paragraphs in the catechism to explain it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. It's not what I thought it was. It's not like limbo, or it's not like maybe heaven, hell, heaven, hell. It's no. If you die in friendship with Jesus, just between A and C, something has to happen. There has to like you. And a good example in Minnesota is you come in the winter and there's like the mud room where you just your mom's like, you're not coming in the house until you take that off. Like you're coming in, you're my kid, but you can't come in until you take that off. Just that idea that in his infinite grace and mercy, Jesus would be like, oh, whoa, hold up. Like, all right, let's purge this. Like, let's just take care of business before you just come running in. And I just and the thing is, I don't know which one it was, but one of the saints or doctors of the church had written about like it could be the instantaneous you pass out of this body into the eternal, and the fires of God's love, he just embraces you and it just burns away. And you're just like, yes, take it all. And then it's done. It could be that quick. And whatever it is, I don't care. I don't care if it takes a million years, whatever it is, it's just, it's loving, it's good. And I'm so glad it exists. Otherwise I ain't getting near
And
him, you know?
it's also really logical. Like to me, it seems like
Yeah.
it should be the easiest Catholic doctrine for non-Catholics to not have an issue with.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
All of them.
Well, because otherwise you're saying, oh, okay, so you become a Christian and you do the best you can. And you can't just willfully sin and hold on to pride and arrogance and lust and sin. But as soon as you die, no big deal. And Jesus is like, yeah, come on in. Like that doesn't make any sense. That's like the illogical is to say like,
Yeah. Well, even if you just start to name people, the logic kind of falls where it's like, you really think you deserve to go meet God in the same speed and fashion as Mr. Rogers? Good luck with that.
that's awesome.
Good luck with that, Christian.
Yeah.
You have not done what he has done. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, and you're by your fruits. And so like, yeah, Mr. Rogers is the perfect example. That dude was amazing. Well, I mean, and I mean, you comparisons are odious, but only in a certain sense. Like you think about like, okay, I'm at home. What did I do today? I'm making a video. That is about it. And then you have like Mother Teresa and John Paul II, who, saved the world from World War II and like all these things. Like, no, there's definitely a gradient and we should be striving for something. Otherwise, we should strive for nothing. And that goes back actually to the mentality you had, whichever famous person you heard say that idea that like, if it doesn't matter what you do, then it truly just doesn't matter. Or the opposite would be like, no, actually what you do matters in the now and in the eternal. And yes, so what you do here ripples on into eternity, like in Gladiator, like it does matter, and it matters into the eternal, both for your soul and others. The idea that, okay, I'm not afraid of death, and I get heaven and hell, and I'm pretty sure, like, I don't want to go to hell. I love God, so I'm pretty sure heaven's going to be stinking awesome. It's that in between. I lacked that component until finding the church, until realizing, oh wow, there, like, God in his wisdom accounted for the idiocy of in between A and C. Like there's a B, and it's really awesome. Even if it's purging purgatory, it's still good.
I think you need to propose a toast.
You can't hear right now, but there are coyotes howling all over our house.
Fun.
Can't hear.
Get out that 22.
Oh, let's see, a toast. I haven't done a toast in forever.
No, you haven't. That's why I made you.
Well, I want to make a toast. My temptation is to make a toast to all the people who need purgatory, just like me. But I don't think that's good. I want to make a toast to all the people who have a pit in their stomach when they think about heaven being eternal. I want to toast to you, but I want to toast to everybody out there who is not going to end up needing purgatory, who just made this world your purgatory. You purged it out, you ran the race, and you jumped on with him without the need for that in between. Thanks for your example. Cheers.
Cheers.